So now we have a very, very, very special guest. So ladies and gentlemen, now it is now my privilege to welcome a leader whose journey has inspired millions across the country. A distinguished speaker today has worn many hats as a parliamentarian, a union minister, a change maker, and above all is someone who has consistently championed conversation around women, education, entrepreneurship, nation building. Throughout her public life, she's demonstrated that leadership is not simply about holding office, it's about creating opportunities, challenging convention, and building systems that empower people to thrive. And I've personally met her when I was in Davos as well as at Stanford, and I could see the passion in her. And one thing with politicians is like with the agenda, but you could see people who truly mean, and she's one of those few people who's so passionate about what she does, especially for women. And we're so honored to have her here with us. So please, with that, like to welcome Ms. Smriti Irani. So much for taking your time out to come join and say a few words. As a women leader, I think you've been such an inspiration and you've done such incredible work for our country and for our women. And one thing with your work, you have met countless women and you've heard stories and you've seen different women and the situations they are in. So what are your thoughts on motherhood economy and mother's contribution to economy? And it's a big thing, but yeah.
I think that possibly is the first time that a segment of economy has been called the mom economy. Because I have 2-3 perspectives about it. When somebody wants to put a monetary tag to the term mother, my question is, how do you monetize love? How do you monetize commitment? How do you monetize the time spent, the sweat, the blood, the fact that you carried a life for 9 months? Sometimes you carry it to full term, sometimes there is a challenge, sometimes there are remnants to your own health which can never be spoken of, which is never shared with family. So how do you monetize that part of the economy? But if you look at the economy from a female perspective, and I was speaking to somebody here at the exchange, is there a defined framework where you can truly evidence and articulate the female economic power of our country? So since I'm at the exchange, I think that most who deal with the segment of mutual funds will say today 1 out of 3 or 4 investors is a female. But the question was, how much money does that 1 out of 4 control? So you would be gobsmacked, it's close to 11 lakh crores. But that's only in mutual funds, and that's only that 1 woman out of the 4 who's investing. Where is the largest amount of economic asset that is held by women? To this day, the largest class of assets that women hold is in their bank accounts, in the savings account. So the question that begets us is, how do we evidence, aggregate, or enumerate the mom power in the economy? Do you look at her from the perspective of how much money she has in the bank? Do you look at her from the perspective of how much money has she invested in a mutual fund? Do you look at her from the perspective of how varied is her portfolio in the exchange? Or do you also compute the stay-at-home mom? You also compute mothers who are in the informal sector. You also compute women who have potential in the formal sector. So since women lead so many lives in their relationships, it's very difficult to have them computed per se from an economic perspective.
Absolutely. I think, we were earlier talking about the amount of time and energy that goes into raising a family. it's not really, like it's end of the day, it's an hour. It's like if you consider it like a labor, of course, not the labor of love, it cannot be measured, but beyond that. And a lot of them, they take career breaks. And that is like a big question here as well. And when they try to get back to work, there's always like a struggle. And it's almost like a reset on everything, even to get back to work, even in terms of finance. But they are the one who are literally creating the next generation. So what are your thoughts on like women getting like, financially responsible, financially literate, and, making sure that they're confident, even in terms of the confidence. A lot of them feel like, okay, this is my job, but it's like, no, you're actually raising the next generation. So what is your thought for the women and, in terms of their contribution to GDP, and how could we define that?
I think you've assimilated many thoughts and many branches of questioning under one umbrella. If you want to talk about how do you measure women and their productive value to an economy, and I spoke about in my last comment about women in the informal sector, let me give you a segment which is actually not counted. We talk about women in self-help groups, and we say that we have close to 9 crore women in self-help groups. We have 600,000 villages. We have the urban areas, especially the rural areas, where a lot of women congregate under the umbrella of self-help groups. If you look at unofficial data, close to $37 billion worth of economic activity yearly is undertaken by these self-help groups. But are they computed? Are they counted formally? No, they are not. Now, if you start seeing the economic behavioral pattern of all these women in these subsections, what is fascinating is that at one end you have 9 crore women generating that kind of economic promise. But if you look at the kind of credit they have taken from the market, or from the government for that matter, or from banking institution, and then look at it in reflection of the credit and capital that women take in the SME segment. The one aspect which is constant, irrespective of which class of woman you're looking at, is her capacity and I think the diligence with which she pays back. NPA in women-owned businesses, no matter big or small, is less compared to men. So if I am going to evidence behavioral patterns, I will say that women make for great investment opportunities because they have evidence through their relationship with financial institutions that they will pay back. But the dichotomy is that if you look at how much VCs invest in women-owned businesses, that does not cross the threshold of 5 to 10%. Which means a venture capitalist would be more comfortable taking a risk with a man-owned and led business as compared to a female-owned and led business, irrespective of the fact that the females have exhibited that their MPAs are far less. Now, is that a social construct or an economic challenge? I think it's a social construct. Because for too long we've been told that men and women, when educated, will believe in equity. So if those who believe in equitable opportunities, when they have money, why are they not investing in women-owned businesses is the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the VC world, that's something, I think with a lot of women have great ideas. They really have that passion to go ahead and start the business. But when it comes to funding, there seems to be like a roadblock to kind of get moving, almost like they don't know where to begin. How can government, the VC funding, even different communities can help come together to create a pathway for such women who have brilliant ideas, but they don't have enough support? Because it seems like there are enough things, but it just seems scattered. Like, how could we encourage them? And you have done some lot of incredible work yourself.
So the government already has given instruments like Mudra, 300 million loans given out, and predominantly 70% of the beneficiaries being women-owned small businesses. That in itself is one of the largest financial inclusion opportunities that the world has seen. The government started Jan Dhan Yojana, where today out of the 550 million bank accounts that were open, 58% of them belong to women. The government started something called the startup policy, the stand-up policy predominantly. There was an instruction given by the government to all banks that at least one female beneficiary has to be assured across every district. And today, when we see the numbers, we see over 80,000 crore rupees given under Stand Up India for women-owned businesses. But that is the government doing. The question that I posed was for the private sector. We were always told that the government does less and the private sector does more. But when it comes to women, it's the opposite. The government has done more than the private sector ever could. What stops private sector from formalizing the role of women? What stops private sector from giving equal pay for equal work? What stops private sector to not have just that nominal female on the board, but have a 50-50 split board, men and women? Nothing stops them.
So what are your advice for a women leader, and you being a fabulous leader yourself and having led the country, what are your few tips for women leaders and entrepreneurs?
Why is it that we always seek advice for female leaders? Have you ever seen a man sit on a stage ask for tips for other male leaders? And that is the biggest problem. I don't think women need that kind of tips and advice. If it is being proffered to men, then let it be given irrespective of the gender, firstly. And let us not say male leader and female leader. Leader is leader. If you have a bias, then you look at the gender. And insofar as women in enterprise, I think the very fact that they have created an enterprise itself is a salutation to their own capacity. Because women are dealing with different social circumstances as compared to their male counterparts when they start a business. I undertake a program across 300 cities in the country called Spark, where we are helping close to 1 lakh women-owned businesses. I have met female entrepreneurs who have started their enterprise at the age of 45, 50, doing better than the male counterparts and members of their own family, where the younger ones come and tell their mothers, please stop your business because you are outshining me financially. I've also had women who have started from scratch, not dependent on personal savings or family savings, but drawn up a fantastic business plan, gone to a financial institution, struggled a bit, but completely financed their enterprise through a financial institution. So there isn't one story which is replicated in the next. I think that is the beauty of being a woman. Everybody's capacities, circumstances are absolutely different. The best part about it is that it's the best time to be a female in India. The Commander-in-Chief of India is a woman. She has not become the President of India as a hand-me-down. She has earned her spot, her respect. Today you have 33% reservation in Parliament, which some are trying to stifle. But in the first ever attempt in the new Parliament building, I was very proud to see that reservation bill pass. If you look around women in administration and politics, while everybody is fixated with who's minister, you need to celebrate the fact that 1.5 million women currently are serving in panchayats all over the country. And that is the largest cohort of elected political leaders on planet Earth. That landscape exists in India. So for me, I think that women don't need advice. उनको सलाह नहीं, साथ की ज़रूरत है.
On a personal note, you're a mother of 3 wonderful kids yourself, and you have managed a busy career and raising them. How has your journey been as a mother, a working mother, and a successful actor and a politician while raising kids.
How many here are working mothers? Do you have any memory of whatever has happened? So if there's an honest to God answer, none of the women here will remember anything but the fact that they needed to get the job done. That they needed to feed their kid, that they needed to make sure that the homework was done, that they needed to make sure that their PPT was equally ready, that they did not sleep many nights, that how many of you have teenagers? And that they have teenagers who are mouthing off, "Aapko kisne kaha tha?" How many of you have that? Who told you, "I never asked for it, now that you gave birth to me, you have to deal with it"? How many of you have that? Oh, see those hands going up? And how many of you wondering that I was just cleaning the nappy and now this person is talking back to me? How many of you have that? See? So if you ask all of them, how can you describe what you feel? They will have absolutely no memory. But there will come a time, how many of you are 50, 55, 60? There will come a time when they'll be 50, 55 years old and their kids would have gone on to lead their own lives. And that is when they will start reflecting. When the bones pain and you can't explain it to anybody else. When the joints pain, when you have a hot flash and you can't explain it to anybody else. When you look at that kid who now does not have the time to call you back, you can't explain it to anybody else. So that's what it feels like to be a mom. It's a job which is well done only when the kid doesn't need you anymore. And that is the most heartbreaking thing. And for all the men in the room, the daughter will remember only when she has a kid. Remember your mother used to say this, तुमको तब पता चलेगा जब तुम्हारे बच्चे होंगे, है ना? So that's your mother's revenge. But the sons will only remember when the mother dies. And that, I think, is the tragic beauty of being a mother. That you're raising someone to let them go. That you're raising someone to forget you. You're raising someone who will never need you again. And all you'll be left with is a photograph, a memory, a text. That is what you're raising. You've spent half your life so that you can be forgotten in the other half. Can you compute an economic value to that? And I have women in the room who are crying. And this is exactly why the VCs don't give us money. They think we are very emotional. But they don't realize that it is that emotion that makes us honest enough to pay back. It is that emotion that makes us work harder, push back stronger, come back faster. And the day somebody realizes that and invests in your enterprise, that's a smart investor. Because money can buy anything. It can never buy a woman's tenacity. It can never buy a mother's love.
That was so beautifully said and so touching, and we absolutely agree with that. You know, coming to that point, a lot of them invest so many years into raising children, and then the empty nesters when the kids leave. And then comes the identity crisis. Now, I think you're doing great. I love that. That's something that I want to touch upon, because at our conference we've had...
No identity crisis. Because I was asked that question when my kids all grown up and left. Empty nester. I'm like, very good. No. Because if you truly understand motherhood, then you're waiting for the day your child is strong enough to fly alone. And that is the greatest validation of you as a human being. There is no other human being on planet Earth that prepares a fellow human being to leave them, except a mother. Every other human being, every other relationship is preparing people so that they can stay with them. A mother is the only relationship that is preparing people, another human being, to leave her. So she's not an empty nester. She is not seeking validation. Imagine the strength of the human being. That with every passing day she knows.
Absolutely. I think, so many connect there when they talk about being a mother to the identity of raising a kids. And then once, if they haven't invested in themselves and their self-growth, there comes a point where they start questioning. And with our conference last 5 years, we've come across so many women who've kind of come to us and kind of been like, now I feel lost. And that's why I love what you used to say, because you've been personally growing, and I feel like as mothers, as long as we're personally growing, as she said, I think the greatest pleasure is to let your kids fly and to see them grow. So thank you so much. With that, I'd love to open the floor for people who would like to ask you a question. Yeah, go ahead.
Since we spoke about the women at every stages, for the corporate sector, also in the large enterprise, we see that, yes, the changes are not there when it comes to having a board members 50-50 or the equality. Probably with the, now people talking about, so they're trying to increase the percentage. But what one advice you will give to anybody, irrespective of male or female, to increase that percentage in the board?
Just look at productivity. Hello? Fine? Audible?
Yes.
Audible towards the end? Okay.
Yes.
I think the issue has to be pegged at levels of productivity. Because women, and research is available internationally, have been found to be more productive. Attrition rates are less. And I think the adaptability, if the cycle of manufacturing keeps changing within your organization, women are more adaptable. They are adept at being adaptable. So there is no one size fits all for any company. But if you look at competence in terms of hiring, a lot of companies will hire women in their administrative and HR areas, not possibly on the floor shops. That's because they want to ensure accountability within their universe of administration. They want to ensure dependency. For instance, if I want to be absolutely sure of the paper I hold, there is more believability with, on that particular one transactional paper, knowing that 4 women have looked at it, because I depend on the diligence of that chain of command. So there's a different psychology given the nature of business. But I think as women, we should look at productivity levels, contribution from how psychologically women are more adept at leading certain verticals of certain companies, and how boards, and there is an international research on how boards respond, how companies function, which are equitable in terms of how their boards are constructed. And companies which have an equal number or a greater participation of women on their boards, in terms of revenue, have done better as compared to companies where the board membership is mostly male.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I think the one thing...
So never leverage your gender, or never use the gender as a crutch.
Right.
Always look at revenue, always look at productivity, always look at attrition rates to make the case for women in a particular company.
Yeah, but as a female, I think the one advice which I would like to take from your conversation is that playing a front foot and showcasing the productivity.
If there's any advice you need to take from me, ma'am, may I know your name?
My name is Pooja Joshi.
Never take advice from nobody.
Okay.
Listen to everybody.
Exactly.
Because Pooja, everybody comes with different capacities.
Right.
And they are spur of the moment decisions you need to take as a leader.
And
It
always
has
the
to be
advice.
an assimilation of all your experiences.
Right, and the advice will also be based on the particular experience an individual has. So probably listening from everybody and then taking our wise decision would be the right thing to move ahead. Thank you so much for the insights. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, there's a lady at the back as well.
नमस्कार मैम, मेरा नाम रविंदर साहू है। हाँ बिल्कुल, छोटा सा है मैम। मैं क्या देखता हूँ अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में, जहाँ पर
साहू साहब आप कहाँ से हैं?
मैं झारखंड से हूँ।
साहू साहब ये सारी औरतें देख रहे हैं।
हाँ बिल्कुल।
हाँ तो आपको सूक्ष्म रूप में पूछना पड़ेगा क्योंकि
हाँ बिल्कुल,
कार्यक्रम औरतों का है, उनको पूछना है।
मैम जो अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में वुमेन्स वर्क करती हैं, जहाँ पे हस्बैंड और मैं दोनों ही जा रहे हैं, वर्क कर रहे हैं, तो वो वहाँ मैं क्या देखता हूँ, जो बड़ी बच्ची होती है वो
आप प्रश्न कीजिए।
हाँ पर्सन, वो जो बड़ी बच्ची होती है इसलिए स्कूल नहीं जा पाती कि उसे अपने छोटे बच्चों को ध्यान देना होता है। तो वहाँ पर जो फ्यूचर ऑफ वुमेन है और नेशन बिल्डिंग की है, तो
आप झारखंड में रांची से परिचित हैं?
हाँ मैम। हाँ,
रांची में आपकी 2 टाइम की मेयर आशा लाकड़ा रह चुकी है।
हाँ मैम।
आप कहाँ से हैं?
हाँ मैं गुमला डिस्ट्रिक्ट से हूँ।
तो गुमला से है ना आशा?
हाँ हाँ।
आशा मुख्यतः तो गुमला से है।
हाँ मैम।
फिर रांची आई।
हाँ बिल्कुल।
तो आशा के अगर आपने जीवन देखा है, वो वैसा ही जीवन है ना जहाँ पर चुनौतियाँ थी।
मैम चुनौतियाँ तो आती हैं और चुनौतियों से जो
तो आपके प्रश्न का उत्तर आप ही ने दे दिया क्योंकि आप गुमला से हैं। Which means शाहू साहब मैं कितना घूमे होंगे कि मुझे पता आशा गुमला से है। हाँ, माइनॉरिटी अफेयर्स में नहीं है, एसटी कमीशन में मेंबर है। आप सोचिए मुझे कितना।
मैम, माय नेम इज़ ज्योति। आपने अलग अलग और कम्प्लीटली डिस्पैरेट करियर्स में इक्वली अपना नाम बनाया है, शायद पॉलिटिक्स में एक्टिंग से ज़्यादा नाम बनाया है। हाउ डू यू री इन्वेंट योर सेल्फ थ्रू कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट करियर्स एंड हाउ डू यू नेविगेट? आई नो कि वो ज़ीरो से ही आपने शुरू किया होगा, बट हाउ डज वन विजुअलाइज एंड नेविगेट टू कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट करियर्स एंड एक्सेल्स एट बोथ, एंड यू नाउ काइंड ऑफ ट्रैवर्स बिटवीन द टू? You recently did your show's second, encore, and if I'm sure all of us would love to hear. नहीं
बहुत लोगों ने देखा, मुझे कहा अरे आप वैसे ही लगते हो। मैंने कहा मेकअप का कमाल है।
But just from like your inner make, how does it drive you to excel in such different
That's
streams?
because I've been poor. Long and short of it. So my father used to sell books on the street. My mother used to be a housekeeper at Taj Mansingh Hotel and give tuitions. And in this city also, I got Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi when I had the last $200 in my pocket. So if you've ever been poor, there's no better training than that. I just had one, जीवन में मेरे एक ही संकल्प था कि मैं कभी गरीब नहीं मरूंगी।
जी।
लेकिन दूसरा संकल्प ये भी था बिकॉज आई वॉज बॉर्न, आई एम द फर्स्ट गर्ल इन माई फैमिली, इन माई फादर्स फैमिली टू वर्क।
जी।
तो अगर आप उत्तर भारत से 1976 की मेरी बर्थ है जी। तो जब आपकी माँ को सारा ब्रह्मांड ही कहता हो चिंता मत करो लड़का होगा, ये लड़की को जल्दी ब्याह दो, देन यू हैव दैट इनर आई थिंक फायर टू से, एंड आई हैव डन दिस एज अ 13-year-old। उसके बाद मेरी कुटाई हुई थी अच्छे से कि जिस आंटी ने मेरे माता जी को बोला था कि अरे इसकी तो शादी वादी करा दो, चिंता नहीं करो लड़का हो जाएगा। सो आई टुक माई मदर बाय द हैंड एंड आई वॉकड अप टू दैट आंटी एंड आई सेड चिंता ना करो, तेरे बेटों से ज़्यादा एक दिन मेरा नाम होगा। उसके बाद कुटाई हुई वो अलग कहानी है, बट आई थिंक दोज 2 things always drive you. The fact that not that fact that somebody thinks less of you, but the fact that you then internalize that conversation and ask, can you do a bit better than what you did yesterday? So for me, every opportunity is God sent. It is not possible for somebody who comes from my economic background to sit in the Bombay Stock Exchange today as somebody who's been a 3-time member of parliament. Amazing. The fact that God had a lot to do with it, given that I'm so blunt and unbent, it's nothing else but genuinely भगवान का आशीर्वाद नहीं होता तो ये संभव नहीं था।
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Could
we give chance to somebody who hasn't asked question?
Okay.
Please, that way. Yeah.
Anji, that lady. Yes. No, ma'am, next to you also. She got up first. Nazar meri tez hai. Haan.
So, ma'am, I have had a very happening life. So, I raised a child single-handedly, and a lot of ups and downs in personal, professional, emotional life. Just want to say, lot of respect and gratitude. Your words, the way you have approached life, has inspired me and helped me pull myself up. So, lot of respect for that.
I wish you well, ma'am. Stay healthy. Anji, unko de dijiye jinki hari sari.
I just want to add, sorry, that she just mentioned about being the single mom. I was myself thinking, should I say, should I not say? And thank you so much.
I am the child of a single mom. My parents got divorced when I was 7.
A quick question, ma'am, that how do we put ourselves, because we are very hell-bent on achieving and being that, the girl to go there and do it. Like now that we have taken, after being a mom, myself being a breast cancer survivor also, and now a single mom, I know that I have to go achieve it, and now I have a company and I have to go and get VCs and, I have an emotional side to myself. So how do we put our emotional brain and the entrepreneurial brain together when we have to face, no?
Then your emotions will be weaponized against you.
When I say emotion, I talk about bringing my heart to business, because I feel as
No,
women
just
entrepreneur.
get your brain to business.
Okay.
You can get your heart somewhere else. The business needs your brain, it needs your tenacity, it needs your physical time and strength. So if there's anything that you need to do, given that you're a cancer survivor, look after your health.
Yes. Thank you.
Because once the brain is ticking, the heart takes a long time to catch up.
Yes.
And when the bones are creaking, it is the brain that needs to be functional, and it's the enterprise that needs to make you afford a better health prospect. So your business needs your brain fully functional and right there. I think that's the one thing when people talk to me and expect that अरे आप तो तुलसी जी हैं तो आप तो ममता की मूरत होंगे, मैं कहना बिल्कुल नहीं, गलत फहमी मत पालना. When you work with me, I'm a different persona altogether, because on my work depends the livelihood and many other people. I can't afford to get my personal, emotional being to that work. I have to get my sense of fairness, I have to get my capacity to be productive, and I have to get my strategic brains to my workplace. My emotions I can take back home.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
The lady behind you, ma'am, there's a lady with a green sari.
Namaste, I'm Sushma Sharma, school principal. I must tell you that most of us are here because of you. And yes.
And I hope it was worth it.
Yes. And I had two idols in my life. First Indira Gandhi, and the second was Amitabh
Bas, maar
Bachchan.
do, madam.
I know, ma'am. And then there came Smriti Irani. I must have
I'm
heard.
on the same level as Amitabh
Yes,
Bachchan.
ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so because somebody inspires you, then at least he becomes my hero or heroine. And I see every interviews yours. हमको डर लगता है कि अभी क्या आएगा, तो अभी पूछते समय भी थोड़ा सा प्रिंसिपल होने के बाद भी मैं थोड़ा सा तरतरा रही हूँ.
मैम आप पहली प्रिंसिपल हो तो कह रही हो डरती है.
नहीं तो मैं बता रही हूँ मैम, मैं डरती नहीं हूँ, फिर भी आपके सामने बोल रही हूँ. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है हम उस पड़ाव में अब हैं जब हमने बहुत सारी बच्चियों को देखा है जो अभी भी स्ट्रगल कर रही हैं, बट दे आर वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग ऑल्सो. और मेरे ख्याल से मेरे पिताजी ने मुझसे कहा था एक सेंटेंस कि तुम सब कुछ कर सकती हो. तो आज वो उसी का नतीजा है कि मैं आपके सामने खड़ी होकर एक प्रश्न पूछ रही हूँ. और मुझे लगता है कि आज जिस पड़ाव में हम हैं, यहाँ से फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी जो है गायब हो जाती है. हमको पहले किसी ने बताया नहीं पैसे कैसे बचाने, और अब हम सिर्फ पैसे दूसरों के लिए बचाते हैं, बिकॉज आई एम वर्किंग फॉर समबडी एल्स. तो व्हाट डू यू फील लाइक, हमें क्या सोचना?
I think we need to redefine what financial literacy is. Earlier it was about knowing how to open a bank account. It was about signing a check. It was about filling the back copy of the checkbook as to what is your debit and credit. It was about knowing how to read a bank statement. Today, if I want somebody to be financially literate, I want them to understand the exchange. I want them to understand what financial terminologies are used by investment managers. I want them to be very self-aware of every form they sign and not create relationship managers where somebody has the power to then siphon off half of your hard-earned money. I want you to understand how to create a physical asset and a digital asset. तो financial literacy के मायने आजकल बहुत बदल गए हैं. For instance, मैंने आज बात की है म्यूचुअल फंड्स में औरतों का कम से कम 11 लाख करोड़ रुपया ऐसा कहते हैं asset under management है. But if you look at the number of women who own a home individually, singularly, that's maybe between 13 to 15%. So you need to look at what stage, आप बार-बार पड़ाव शब्द का इस्तेमाल करें, what stage of your life do you want to start owning singularly physical assets? What is the geography? How do you pick that physical asset? Do you check the building infrastructure, the contractor, the subcontractor, or the facilities? Do you check how much money are you better off paying, especially if you're single? Are you better off hiring a house? Are you better off possibly buying a house off? Then there are women who are planning, if they are single, planning for a senior life because they are single. Would they want to do, an investment in an apartment in a senior citizen ecosystem or complex, or would they want to hire and be tenants? So there are many financial decisions that you need to take. हम normally ये सोच के बैठते हैं कि कोई और घर में कर लेगा, and sometimes we reach the age of 50 to 60 where we suddenly realize that we need to learn something right now because you turn around and there's nobody there actually. And you suddenly realize that your male partner is actually as much a seer as you are. So you will come to that padav where suddenly the man will look at you and say, ठीक है तुम भी बोलो, and you realize उसको भी नहीं पता है. So there are many decisions that need to be taken over a series of events in your life. Financial literacy for me today should encompass all of it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, now I need to take the last two questions and then vamoose.
Yeah, hello ma'am.
Everything has happened from here, nothing has happened from there. Yes, we are coming there, ladies. So ma'am, after you go, we'll take two questions here and then.
Ma'am, so I have seen your incredible journey from Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi.
Thank God, आपने ये कहा मैंने बचपन से आपको देखा है.
No. From former union minister. So, ma'am, I would like to know how can I, from a homemaker to now a corporate job, how can I be on a path on what you are, like serving the nation, serving for the women's and child development?
You can't be me, I can't be you.
I understand, ma'am, that completely, but you can
if
show
you want
the
to
path
serve
to
the
us.
country, you can serve the country by being a diligent citizen. You can serve the country by joining a political organization. You can serve the country by joining a philanthropic organization. You can join the country by making voters more aware. So it depends on your definition of contributing to your country. Like I would give money to the National Defense Fund, which looks after women and children from families of the armed forces, from the paramilitary and police forces across the country. So there are many ways to serve the country. Pick one.
So ma'am, since a woman...
You want to be a cabinet minister, go fight Amethi.
Thank you.
Oh no, somebody will make a headline out of this. Sir, can we move it to the ladies here, please? Sir, can we move it to the ladies here? Yes.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here and listening to you. Right now, my heart is pounding really
I
fast.
hope you don't have a cardiac event.
No.
Then they'll blame it on me.
No. So, not a question really, but just want to thank you for the character of Ritvik Virani, because somewhere I just feel, I'm a mother to a special needs child, and somewhere I have seen that little bit, that you've tried to portray in that, and the way you've held strong, and the way you've kept him going strong, where he's always shown as a failure, which is what we always see with our special needs kids. So that really inspires me so much and keeps me going on a daily basis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. This is a question on behalf of few mothers here.
Oh, wow.
And the worry is about the young adults who are greatly influenced by the cockroaches. So what would be your advice?
Don't worry, every generation has its own ecosystem, framework of deliberation, of debate, of what they believe is disagreement. The beauty of our democracy is that every voice has an opportunity to be heard. 642 million Indians went to vote in 2024. We all didn't vote for the same party. We all don't believe in the same ideology. We only believe in one country called India. As long as you believe in the supremacy and the majesty of our constitution, as long as you honor the flag, as long as you respect servicemen and women, be it in the armed forces, the paramilitary or the police, as long as you have respect for the Indian law, that's all that matters. Respect for your institutions, honor your country, your flag, and respect fellow citizens. Deliberate, debate, discuss, don't break the law. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
This side has to take over, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Smriti ji. It's very pleasure to listen to you today. I'm an author and I would love to present my book with your permission.
Ma'am, I can't accept books without reading before. I'm a politician. I have to be very careful.
Okay. Thank you.
That lady in black, and then I'll shut it. My apologies. Yes.
Ma'am, first of all, a very good evening to you. It's such a pleasure. आपको इतने बार टीवी पे देखा है.
Last question है.
Yes,
जल्दी
ma'am.
बोलो.
आपसे बात करना ही अपने आप में एक बहुत.
तो question नहीं है तो मैं वहाँ जाऊँ.
Yes, ma'am. Question ये है कि first of all, today is the first time I'm listening to you here as one-on-one.
Yes.
Just together. So, ma'am, the kind of knowledge you have, how do you keep yourself abreast? Because you meet so many people, but there might be something that you must be doing in your free time. So it is kind of a personal question that because you're so knowledgeable, because it is just not that you're, I can hear that.
I'm not knowledgeable, I'm a great assimilator of knowledge.
Ma'am, the kind of thought.
Anybody who thinks that they are knowledgeable is actually not knowledgeable.
That's actually the right thing to say. And you have actually given that to us also. There was a few things. I'm very fortunate. So, ma'am, what do you like to read?
Over?
What do you like to read?
I am not stuck on one topic to read.
Okay.
So I have read something called Primal Intelligence. I'm right now reading the history of intelligence. If you see my Insta story this morning, you'll see that. But I've also read a 3-part series on Alexander the Great. I've also read, my last book was Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. And I've also read Jack Weatherford's Genghis Khan. So,
wow.
But at the same time, I have read every book by John Grisham and Dan Brown.
Wow.
And I also read poetry. So don't get bracketed or siloed into somebody's perception or presumption about you. Read everything. If
and
there was a milk carton here, I would have read that also.
Ma'am, just one more thing to
Itne
ask.
questions.
Yes, ये भी question है, ma'am, please.
Last.
Yes, ma'am, आप इतने लोगों से मिलते हो, so आप अपने आप को कैसे इतने emotionally balanced रखते हो? Because आप दोनों type के लोगों से मिलते होंगे. Someone who is really downtrodden and someone who is doing really well also. So what is the kind of approach you take to, basically amalgamate both the sides?
How can you respond differently to human beings given their economic status?
Yes. Right.
Thank you for the conversation, ladies, and a smattering of gentlemen.